children. Today we'll take a look around the world. Girls who are often sent into sex slavery by people they should be able to trust, even their families. ABC's Lama Hassan brings us the story.
In the dead of night, the girls emerge, hoping to make money. They work on the streets of major cities around the world, including the U.S. What you don't know is that many of them are victims of human trafficking.
Americans who have no idea probably have met young women who have been trafficked.
In 2003, President Bush announced a $50 million initiative to help combat the problem at home and worldwide. Some of the girls come from the furthest corner of Eastern Europe, like Moldova. The average salary here is less than $100 a month. Many of the victims come from poor rural areas. As they search for better work opportunities overseas, some of them fall into the trap of human traffickers. Two-thirds of them are by people they know. 4 years ago, 23-year-old Irina was promised a job by her boyfriend at a restaurant in Portugal. But that was all a lie. Instead, she was handed to a group of men who forced her into the sex trade. I was scared, she says. They told me I had to first study the language and then work as a prostitute. I was trapped. She worked for a year and a half and became pregnant by one of her clients. Irina only escaped when she was arrested and deported back to Moldova. Irina says she's focusing on her 19-month-old son Mihai and his future, while she tries to recover from her ordeal. I want him to grow up happy. That's pretty much what I live for. For Good Morning America, Lama Hassan, ABC News, Verdiac, Moldova.
Joining us now is Patricia McCormick, journalist and the author of the novel Sold, which was a finalist for the National Book Award. Patty, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
You did your research in Nepal and India, but in the U.S. we see one common thread. These girls are often sold into slavery by people whom they should trust, boyfriends, family. Tell me about that.
And the same thing was true in India and Nepal. What I learned was that they're usually sold by a family member, a father, a brother, an uncle, a stepfather, because they see women and girls as a commodity.
Now, your book, Sold, is actually written to be read by younger women for them. Why did you do it that way?
Well, I think 13-year-olds in the United States want to know what's happening to 13-year-olds across the world. And I think that statistics and headlines can have kind of a numbing effect. It makes the problem seem so daunting and so hopeless. But I think if you read the story of one girl, one character, and you really sink into her experience, that can change you from bystander to aware.
Anything in your research that helps the rest of us understand what young girls can become vulnerable?
Well, I think that the universal truth is that they are vulnerable to the blandishments or the charms of a stranger or a family member who, because the girls are naive and are offered these jobs, will get you a job as a movie star, or in the case of these really poor girls, a maid, a factory worker. And because they have no other frame of reference, they do believe. And often the traffickers are women. They are former prostitutes themselves who are buying their own freedom by recruiting their replacements.
Finding the replacement. So if you're a parent, anything you can look out for, any tips?
Well, I would say to take seriously any threats that your child makes to run away. The FBI says within 48 hours of running away, most kids are approached by some kind of sexual predator. Also to talk to them about the charms and the promises that seem too good to be true. Somebody who says he's a photographer and has a business card doesn't mean that he's legit.
They're out there. Young women can be sensitive. If you know that your daughter or a loved one is in that situation, pay attention, because this is a real threat.
Right.
Patty, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
If you think you have come in contact with the victim of human trafficking, call the government's trafficking information and referral hotline, 1-888-373-7888. Remember that number. And go to abcnews.com if you want to read an excerpt from Sold and find out how you can help stop teen trafficking.